couple of weeks ago, I asked pretty much everybody that I know or that knows that I'm trans to please send me a couple of questions about things that they've always wanted to ask a trans person, particularly in relation to the experience of a closeted trans man, which is what I am. What is it like being misgendered and, of course, being closeted, not being able to correct the person who misgenders you? It can be difficult, but it's not the end of the world to me when I get misgendered, because obviously I know how femme I still present, despite my voice, despite my gestures, etc. So I guess it doesn't really bother me. The only thing that really bothers me is if I've already come out to somebody and they would willfully use she, her, and or my dead name when I've specifically asked them not to. This doesn't really happen because I have very respectful friends, and I also allow for the fact that it can be very difficult to adjust to the fact that this femme-presenting friend of mine identifies as he, him, and also trying to understand, like, okay, if we're in a public space, does he want me to say he, him, or should I, like, keep them closeted? So that doesn't count. But I had a teacher, a very, very sweet person, but not the most educated about the LGBTQ community. And so when I asked her specifically to call me by my initials, KC, instead of my dead name, this was before I had chosen my trans name anyway. We got into a surprisingly long discussion about why didn't I want to be called by my dead name. And she's like, it's a beautiful name. It's like a gorgeous name. Why would you not want to be called by your name? Casey doesn't even sound good. And I was like, okay, under normal circumstances, that is highly offensive, even if, you know, your student were not trans, you know. I mean, she meant well, so I didn't take it too hard. But that was just a difficulty that I didn't anticipate, and I definitely felt my heart rate rise as I was trying to explain a way out of it that didn't necessarily have to do with coming out right away in the first day of class. Okay, question. Oh yeah, okay. Why do you sometimes tell people that you're a lesbian? This is the title of the video, isn't it? Yeah, okay. So as far as my sexuality is concerned, I'm on the bisexual spectrum. I consider bisexuality a spectrum. I'm not the only one who does. So let's say roughly if you think of attraction to men, attraction to women. I'm including like non-binary folks too, okay? And then like more preference for men and a more preference for women. I'm definitely on the other end, like much higher preference for women. And to people who don't really know or talk about bisexuality, and I think this is a thing, because pretty much everyone, I would say, knows that gays and lesbians exist. You know, even people who are not part of that community or have very little to no education about the LGBTQ community, they can pretty much define like what a gay person is, what a lesbian person is. A lot of times it gets confused with gender identity instead of sexuality or sexual identity. But anyway, people don't talk about bisexuality. And so me entering a conversation, especially with somebody that I don't know very well yet, I hesitate to tell people that I'm bisexual. There are a lot of stigmas that are attached to it. And there's a lot of ignorance, too, that sometimes is very difficult to address in a single conversation. It's very convenient to call myself a lesbian because, one, I am femme-presenting. So I'm not the type to just come out and say, I'm a trans guy. I consider myself almost a straight trans guy because I am dating a biological female. And so even the whole term straight trans guy would make little sense to somebody who doesn't know much about the LGBT community. So I just tell people that I'm a lesbian. The other reason why I call myself a lesbian is because with an objective awareness of my own attractiveness as a femme-presenting person, I am aware that some guys, and by no means implicates you if you're one of the sensible ones watching this. Some guys, you know the kind I'm referring to, get extremely turned on by somebody who they think is a woman saying that they're bisexual, and then ding 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 in their brain bells go off thinking about things like sexual kinks, etc. And so I am not interested in dating or having a long-term relationship with a man at this point. It's just a stage in my life. It's just a preference at this point. Even if I were not engaged to the love of my life, that would still be my preference. I would still be leaning more toward a woman. And so to just preclude that kind of misunderstanding or being accused of leading a guy on, I just tell people I'm a lesbian. So that's the long-winded explanation. Next question. Okay. You know how there's this thing called gator, right? Oh yeah, for those who don't know, gator is a term that refers to gay people. I'm using that as an umbrella term, being able to sense somebody else who is gay even though they're closeted. Okay, do you have something similar in the trans community, like maybe a transdar, being able to sense other closeted trans people? I'm not sure, and I hesitate to speak for the entire trans community. I'm just going to say that I personally do not have a transdar. I do have a very strong gaydar, like regardless of the gender of the person I see or am referring to. It's very, very hard to clock a closeted trans person because, again, there are just so many different levels on which they could be presenting as their identified gender or presenting as their assigned gender. So that's very difficult to nail. Okay, next question. What kinds of surgeries do you think you're going to have or want to have in the future? Probably all of them. There are some trans guys that will just go with top surgery, not bottom surgery, or vice versa. That's a little rarer. For me, at this point, at the stage that I feel I am in with my severe dysphoria, definitely top surgery and definitely bottom surgery. On the days when I'm wearing pants, a lot of times I pack as much as I can. Packing, I'll put the definition here, is a term which refers to simulating the weight, shape, and appearance of a male genital organ underneath the pants. So, I'll link you to a couple of videos that are good resources on how to pack, whether low budget or high budget or somewhere in between. I personally use like a sock, something like that. Let's see. I don't know if you talked about this, but do you go to gender therapy? If so, has it helped you? I have not. I am a graduate student and life is very busy, but I am definitely trying to be better about taking care of my mental health. So more recently, about 2 weeks ago, I tried to get signed up for counseling specifically for gender therapy where I go to school. And it's taken a while to get connected to somebody who specializes in the issues that I brought up, but I will actually have my first appointment in exactly a week. So fingers crossed for that. I hope it goes well, and I'm pretty sure it will help, at least to be talking out my issues. Now, who are the people who help you through the times when you feel most dysphoric and or hopeless? Oh, that's a really sweet one to end on. Definitely my fiancé. They are amazing at this. They're the person that I trust most with talking about the sometimes gory details of my dysphoria. And this is not to say that it is a good practice or dynamic to burden a partner with mental health issues that should also be addressed with a professional, such as with a therapist or a counselor. That being said, though, I believe strongly in the positive impact of two partners being able to share some of the worst parts of their lives, their thoughts, their experiences with each other, and still being there for each other to the best of their capacity. So, bearing that want for sensitivity in mind, I do rely on them, my fiancé, quite a bit when that happens. And sometimes it's not about being able to speak to them immediately. It's more about leaving them a voice message, just being able to rant about all the crazy things that are going on in my head, and knowing that sooner or later they will respond. But there's somebody who is just so open who was so accepting, who was not going to judge me for anything that I said. I also have a lot of other supportive people in my corner. There's my sister, who happens to also be a psychiatrist. Yeet! My friend B, who's one of the people that I've maintained the longest relationship with. My friend Janice. My friend Daisy, who also has a YouTube channel here. Yeah, they're really understanding, and there's so many other people too that I've met online who are actually really, really capable of holding sensitive, intelligent, and supportive conversations about dysphoria and anxiety and depression and mental health in general. And you will be amazed by the quality of relationships that you can find online. I have many feelings about my friends. So there were a couple of other questions listed here that I didn't get a chance to address anymore for matters of time and thematic cohesiveness, but I may or may not do a part 2, a continuation of this video. If I do, I will let you all know, and please continue to keep the questions rolling. This was a really productive experience, I think, to be able to talk about these issues out loud to you and to myself as well, and think through what it is that what I believe in, what it is I'm experiencing, and what are the negative and positive sides of the closeted transgender experience. So thank you so much for coming with me on this ride and listening to all of this. I hope it was educational, maybe even a little inspirational for you all. Thanks. Until next time. Bye.